Okay, so there's a truism when it comes to woodworking, and that is that it's not about whether or not you'll have a mistake or something to fix, but how you go about fixing it. Hey folks, welcome back to Dude Crafts Guitars. We've got a new episode for you. We're back to working on guitars now. As you see, I've done a little bit in the shop. Going to keep doing more, do it, in our own spare time, so to speak. Now, I've got 3 in the paint booth right now curing. We'll get those assembled, and I've got 3 going on here. All offsets of some sort, whether they be borrowed bodies or our original stuff. Got those going, and then we got the Knobboy. So this is an original co-designed by the customer himself. This one's going to be a set neck. And I just got the fretboard glued on yesterday. So that's what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to get this thing shaped. And then we're going to cut the neck pocket. And when I'm doing a set neck, I do the neck pocket a little differently. As I mentioned with the bolt-on, screwed-on necks, I like a little wiggle room. And so I don't mind working template to template. I'm going to be doing this one a little differently because we don't want any wiggle room. We want as small a gap as we could possibly get for that glue to go wood to wood without having a big gap of glue in the middle. And so I'll show you what we do on that. So that's it. Stick around. Going to be fun. Going to be some montages. Going to be some real-time added in. And yeah, the typical formula. It's been working, so I'm sticking with it. If you don't like it, I don't know. What can I say? If you do like it, I don't know. What can I say? One of the reasons why I like working with ebony. It's a beautiful wood, it's an easy wood to patch. Now, this isn't necessarily a mistake of mine. This is the last section of ebony I had that would fit this guitar, kinda. What I mean by that is a little bit narrow here, not by much, but I knew that we'd be trimming some off of this way. So what I'm going to do is basically graft it into here, and I'll show you how I do that. So here we go. Now, when this is done right, nobody will ever know, and that's the beauty of it all. And I'm thinking none of you will ever know. So, for the 85 of you watching this video, don't tell anybody. And definitely don't tell Ethan that I did this with his guitar. So, essentially, and some of this, even once I graft it, I'm not quite trimmed to size. You notice my pencil lines, and I'm from the old school of work your way up to your line. So the pencil line was actually the outside thick part of the template, and I cut outside of that. So even some of this that I'm grafting is still going to be cut off. But that's why I stopped now. And what I'm doing is I'm just giving myself a nice, smooth, flat surface. Don't need to use a planer on this. Actually, I've still got some mahogany that's proud of the situation. So I'm just getting this thing nice and roughed in. And, in this particular case, we've got our fret lines already cut. If we didn't, that would be great, but that's okay. Yeah, that right there looks thick enough. Now I'm just going to grab myself a chisel. How does this one work? And just kind of free it from there. By the way, look at that glue up. Woo. Kid who did that. There's the stuff. And then now we're just going to see which part of it we can make fit. And you can see it's about, a millimeter shy here and about 2.5 millimeters shy there. So I think that right there will work just fine. And what I'm doing is I'm turning it upside down on purpose because, again, those fret lines and for thickness and for the glue. So I don't have to worry about trimming this glue off. That's all going to come out when we do the radiusing. So that's pretty much what we got right there. And you know, there's a lot of stuff you could use. Could use good old-fashioned Titebond, Elmer's glue on, tacky glue, any of those things. The slow glues would be fine. But you know what? So is the fast glue. So why not use it? Oh yeah, plenty. I'm just going to spread it real nicely. Try not to get my fingers stick to it. Put it on there about like yay. Yeah, it looks good. Now, definitely get your fingers out of the way when you do this kind of thing. Get it on there. Line it up. Hit it. And you got about 2.5 seconds to line it up some more. There it goes, taking off. Okay. And don't forget, if you get some running in the slot like I just did, obviously we're going to have to cut some of that out again. And again, some of this is going to be changed as we do the shaping anyway. But we'll just make you see kind of what the finished product is going to look like. That's definitely coming off there. Might as well just make it come off now. Now, what I've got is the ebony is a little proud of the mahogany, which is perfect. Now, just to make sure I get things locked in a little bit extra, I'm going to just drizzle some of this thin CA in there. It's going to seep through that a little bit, then hit it with the accelerator, and there you have it. By the time we get that shaped, slotted, radius, fretted, oiled, polished, nobody will ever know, because that's it. And that is how I was able to take a piece that kind of, you know, just by a couple millimeters was not wide enough, and it worked. And there you go. All right.
Don't cut that off. Don't cut that off. Oh! Luckily, it will still work. There's plenty of glue surface there, but
all right, so that's the quick way to shape it, get it all set up. Just, you know, run right through with the template, whether it's a borrowed template or one that I've made. I found that that's just the best way to get it done. Now what I'm going to do is just clean this up a little bit, you know, maybe 220 grit sandpaper to where it's right where I want it to be. Then I'm going to size it up with the body. And we're going to make ourselves a neck pocket.
now normally I would make a template on MDF first, but I've seen this trick where guys take scrap pieces of MDF. As long as you got straight lines, you can make these 3 straight lines and work with it. Of course, start out with the Forstner and then do the rest with the router, except look what happened here. Watch what's going on. Oh my. That's right, it was not on a flat surface, and the small piece of tape actually acts as a pivot point and fulcrum. Dag nabbit indeed. Look at that. Got a little closer up for you. You can see that wiggle? If that's wiggling like that, guess what? It's also wiggling on that straight line in the pocket. The router bit is no longer following it, and it's making its own path. So, yeah, look at that. See that wiggle? And that's just in one area. So, not getting too phased by it. No, I'm going to have something to fix. I'm just going to cut the body, make myself a couple little widgets to help fix it, and then watch.
All right, well, as you could tell, that didn't quite go as planned. Yeah. Now, some of you know that the moniker I use, Captain James Nelson, comes from the fact that I am a charter boat captain. I do take people out fishing, and as part of what I do, sometimes there are folks who, foul up the line, backlash the reel. Usually I could take that out for them in no time, and I almost always hear the same thing. Wow, that was fast. How'd you learn to do that so quickly? Well, I learned to repair that mistake by making mistakes. That's exactly what's going on here. Now, I made a mistake. I'll admit many times over. As a matter of fact, that's a thing I'm proud of, is the fact that I am a student in doing this. I'm always looking at different ways of doing what I'm doing. And whether it be fishing, whether it be, parenting, whether it be building guitars, I'm a student. And so I'm trying different things that I'm learning, and some things work for me, some don't. That method of making a neck pocket does not work for me. And so now what I'm stuck at doing is making repairs. Luckily enough, I've made a few mistakes, in this type of thing, that I know how to make those repairs. It's actually quite easy. It's quite effective. In the long run, no one will ever know. As a matter of fact, I could have done it, skip past this part in the video, and just showed you fast forward stuff of me routing. You would not have known. However, that's not you doing you any good, because you might come across this mistake and think, wow, I can't do it like those YouTube guys. I'm just going to give up. Don't, because it's really easy mistake to fix, and I'm going to show you. That's what we're going to do now. Now, what you may have noticed is that when I was cutting the body, getting the rough shape of it, I cut out some extra pieces and then split them in half. Those are going to be our little repair parts. Okay, and we are actually going to glue them back to the rims and a little bit to the back piece here of this neck pocket, and then we're going to do slow glue on this. We're going to use Tight Bond, and because of the time, we're going to let it sit for a little bit. As you probably noticed already, I have that this thing doesn't quite fit squarely in there, so I'm just going to kind of trace part I'm going to cut out. Grab my handy dandy little saw here. I'm going to cut that. And this is the part where I jam the saw right into the neck, sling it across the tripod, knock the camera phone down, break that, and shatter the neck in 3 pieces on the concrete. Nope. Not quite that much of a klutz today. All right. That looks pretty good. Now we have to get this rounded. About like that, and it should fit. And that, I'm just going to use the sands flat. Now, some of this needs to get cleaned up. And again, this is going to be no different than if we had a multi-laminate neck going in. Oh wait, we do. So it's just another lamination, really, is all we're doing. It's just I want as much great gluing points of contact. I want them to be as well set as we can. So it's very much a factor here. Yeah, these kind of things, these are what takes a little time, And what's really sad about that is it's because I kind of rushed it. What I should have done is made a template, tested the template, made sure it worked. One single piece template, not the 3-piece. What happened was the pieces shifted on the tape with the force that I was giving it with the router. That's the other thing. If I had routed smaller bits at a time, I was just pushing too much, and as it pushed the wood, it also pushed the MDF template, just knocked it right off of there, which was not good. Yeah. To make it a lot easier when it comes time to route it out. I'm just going to trim that. So that one works there. Let's see how I can make this one work. I don't want the habit of keep cutting into this table. Just because it's a cheap table doesn't mean I have to abuse it. See what I'm doing there is I'm creating a wedge between these two. They're actually going to help hold themselves against the glue and use that for a clamp. That, my friends, will work. Like I said, the back end is not, I'm not worried about that, even though I am going to glue all this in. I'm not worried too much about the back end. It actually was pretty good, but we'll make sure it gets filled so when we do come back to recut, it comes in just right. Okay, and you guys know your jazz vernacular. You ever hear about lock it in the pocket? Here we are. Now watch this. This is a little Izzy Swan maneuver here. He likes using wedges. There we go. Now, in case you're wondering, what kind of backyard hobbyist fool would do this and call it a guitar? There's a lot of guitars that you guys are playing that are pairs less legitimate than this going on. Guarantee you. Okay, let's get Brad in there real well. Bingo. Okay, dinner time.
Okay, so after dinner, here's how I fixed this mistake by making a template the way I should have to begin with. But wait, look, that piece of MDF already had the template I needed. All I had to do is use it. Even though that is a humbucker, I'm putting a P90 at the end, and I should have left the extra tail on. I didn't. Yeah, so, and this is not a flush cut saw, but, you know, I'm making it work. But, you know, that's the thing. You look at things and you think, this is how I'm going to do it, and then you go to do it, and then you realize you made a mistake. You ready for another one, folks? Check out how I taped this MDF down. Okay, so I got the template. Here goes the super glue trick. I'm slowing it down so you can see it. Now, anybody who knows anything about fulcrums and medium super glue knows that that's not going to spread thin with the accelerator. That's going to actually make a little hard point. And because I didn't put tape along the back or the sides, that is now a pivot point, a fulcrum. And when I over clamp it here on the table, which I'm about to do, yeah, I'm going to now pop that off of there, and we're going to be back to the same problem that we had before. Look at that. See how it lifted in the back? Luckily, it did it right now before I put the weight of a router on top of it. So I noticed it right away. Now, if it's going to lift off the back, that means it's also not set. It's not glued. That's going to shift side to side, and we'll be back to where we started. So instead, I just take the double stick tape and put it where it should be. Yes. So in the words of the great late Peter Lorre,
"You imbecile, you bloated idiot!"
Yeah, you got it. That's what I am. But I fixed it. So here we are. You know, if you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fix them, and you're going to get it right. And this is how I've done it a million times. Exaggerated a little bit, but this is how I've done it before, and it works. And yeah, so here we are. We're basically back to where we should have been all along.
All right, whoa, hey, what a day. I'll tell you what, you know, if I didn't have to do this, I would have just walked away and went and did something else and come back tomorrow. Sometimes that's probably the best route, but you know what? We persevered, got it done. All right, so ran a little bit behind. I was hoping we'd have the neck shaped and the body a little more shaped, but that's okay. Learned a lot. Learned that the way I've been doing it works for me, and I'm going to stick with it. Now, that doesn't mean if somebody else was to tell me, hey, James, try this, try that, you know, it doesn't mean I won't try them, but I know that this works. I also know that, you know, with the new remodel and everything lined out, I need to get more lighting. So I apologize, my face all shaded up. I don't know, that might be a good thing. But as long as this is visible, you can see it. Now, remember what I said we would be doing with it? Look at that. So the rough cut is done. It wouldn't have been nearly as rough if I had, you know, a thinner blade and that bandsaw so I could shape better. But that's about the best universal blade I've got in there, and I'm not going to change it until I have to change blades. Now, if you didn't notice, I mean, basically I took a template I already had done for something else, had a big old chunk of wood, or MDF here, instead of cutting it and using it that way, I just routed out the back. So now I've got a double purpose template. To me, that's just the best way to do it. Like I said, it's been one of those days, but the day is about done. About to have me some ice cream, and I'm going to be pretty happy about that. But that's it. I mean, so we got it. I mean, this thing is good. it's about as tight fitting as you'd want it to be. As by the time we were done, it looks like really all the shift was over on this side, so there's a little bit of that plug over there, which again you won't even notice. The grain matched right in. You're not even going to notice once this thing is done, especially because we're doing a cherry with the black burst. It's just going to blend in with the scenery. It's going to be beautiful. Got a big fat pick guard on there. The neck itself needs to come down a little bit off the bandsaw. Never going to be perfectly squared and planed, so I've got to fix that a little bit. Probably lose about 2 millimeters off of it, and that'll be about perfect because you want that fretboard just sitting above where this thing, like I said, it's going to have a pick guard. I don't think we're going to keep this corner here, and most likely it's going to be contoured back up in there anyway. So we'll see where we go. This is a brand new model so far. It's just been, a bunch of Photoshop drawings, that type of thing. So anything goes. I mean, we just came off of one like that. We came off that Katina. Same thing, basically. It's a brand new model. Made templates for it for the future, but on the first one, we got to muddle our way and figure it out through it. This one's going to be pretty fun. Lately I've been doing a lot of basses, a lot of baritones, a lot of extended scales, extended range, and 7s, 8 strings, whatever. So this is pretty cool. This is just a good old-fashioned down-home slab type guitar, and it's going to be a 25-inch scale. So it's one of those scales that you know what I'm talking about. The types of guitars you just see every day. The whole idea of making a custom guitar is making something you don't see every day, and that's what we got here. We've still got to do some planing. This thing is pretty thick. For a slab guitar, we don't really want it to be a full 8/4. We want it to be slimmed down a little bit. And who knows, might even do a little fade downs and contourings. I don't know. We'll talk over with Ethan and see what we can go from there. Again, what can I say? It's been a lot of live action, a lot of live mistakes, and a lot of live fixes. So I hope you appreciate that. And tell your friends, share, come on back, watch this build, watch all these builds. Go back and watch the Katina. I'm really still jazzed about that one. And, it was a cool one. But anyway, yeah, come on back. Please share, like, subscribe, do all that jazz. Ring the bells and buttons, and yeah. Thanks again for tuning in to Dude Craft Guitars.